Hello, this is Jack from No Code MBA. Now, in a recent video, we talked about 7 AI tools that we think are really exciting at the moment. Things like text-to-speech, text-to-video, podcast editing, image generation, and also an old favorite, Zapier. And today's video is going to focus on Zapier and AI integrations. Now, if you don't know what Zapier is, it's a way to connect different apps together when there are no native integrations. So there might be some type of trigger, and then you can create an action from that trigger. And one of the actions that we can use is ChatGPT. So we're going to look at some really interesting integrations here that I think you're going to get excited about as well. But first, we're going to go a little bit meta, because there is a new way to create zaps inside Zapier. And it's where you put in just plain text about what you want to do, and then it's going to create the zaps for you. So instead of going in the database and looking at the different integrations, what you can do is just write something like this. I want to create a zap where I can send an email from Gmail, have ChatGPT summarize it, and then send the summary back to me. Now, this can be useful if you get a long email and you just think, oh, I don't want to read all of this, I need this summarized. So inside of Zapier, you can do this. And if you have a look down here, it says, here's your zap. So you get a new email, you can parse a web page, you can create the conversation, and we'll talk a bit more about how to do that in a moment, and then send the email back to Gmail. There are other ways to do this as well, where you can send it to your Zapier email address instead of just having this new email coming from Gmail, so that you're only sending specific emails to be summarized. So this is something to have a play around with. Now, when we're using ChatGPT, be aware that you do need an API. It is going to cost each time you do this, so there are going to be fees involved. And I'll leave a link to summarize how to set this up inside Zapier instead of going into too much depth here. But do know that there are certain things you have to do in order to make this work for you. Now, the first integration I want to talk about, the first app, is this one where you can create blog posts or outlines from new responses in Google Forms with ChatGPT. Now, I find this interesting because I used to write blog posts based on answers that people gave me through I think it was a Google form at the time. And you can do this through Google Form, you can do it through Typeform or whichever form service that you use. But basically what it's going to do is you can set a series of questions for somebody. So it's going to be like a guest post article. And then ChatGPT is going to summarize that for you and then actually create a blog post outline and put it into a document. You can also have this saved as a draft inside WordPress as well. So this is an example of how you can use ChatGPT as that action, the first action, to then create the second action, where you take responses from a Google form and create a blog post. Now, it might be responses for anything really, and you can have ChatGPT summarize it for you and send it to whichever app you want to use. Now, I get the feeling most people like sending voice messages, but they don't like listening to them, or they're not always in a situation where they can listen to them. So this one is pretty interesting, where you can take a transcription ready result from a text-to-speech using, in this case, speech notes, where it's going to do speech to text automatically. Then it's going to have ChatGPT summarize this again if the voice notes are quite long, and then save this as a summary in a new document such as Google Docs. But again, this could be inside Slack, so you can get a voice note, you can have it transcribed through ChatGPT or a different app. But we're not restricted here to these apps. You can use different voice note apps, different text apps, and have things summarized and sent to whichever app you use. Now, this next one is interesting, especially if you like to summarize articles, let's say for an email newsletter, or you just want a summary of an article, where what you can do is use the Zapier Chrome extension. And when you're on an article, you can then trigger that article to send it to OpenAI, to ChatGPT. Again, it's going to summarize that article for you and then send it back to the Chrome extension that you're using. So again, what we can do here is summarize articles just with one click using the Chrome extension and using Zapier. And also, instead of just sending that back to the Chrome extension, you can have that created a draft inside your email marketing software or whichever app you want to use at that stage. And then here's another one, the final one before we talk about the Zapier plugin, where I've just said, send an email to my Zapier email address, have ChatGPT create a reply, and create a draft inside of Gmail with a reply. And here is the Zap. So as you can see here, when you receive a new email to the Zapier email address, it then creates that conversation where you need to set up the prompt, and then it creates a draft reply inside of Gmail for you. So that's just another example about how we can use Zapier with the ChatGPT plugin in order to make our lives easier. And then finally, I want to talk about the Zapier's ChatGPT plugin, where you can automate tasks directly within ChatGPT's interface. And it says here, the plugin is a collaboration between OpenAI and Zapier, which allows you to connect 5,000 apps like Google Sheets, Gmail, Slack, and interact with them directly inside ChatGPT. So there's an example of here where it just goes through how you can use Zapier inside of the ChatGPT plugin. So if you're looking to do that instead of using Zapier, then I'll leave a link to this article for you. So let me know if you are currently using Zapier and AI tools such as OpenAI in order to connect different apps together. And give me some examples of the zaps that you want to create or that you're using right now. Now, be sure to watch that video on AI tools that will be on your screen, or maybe watch a different video that's on your screen as well. If you've liked this, then please like and share it with a friend. Check out the description to see what we have to offer you, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye for now.